Welcome everyone to my 15-month progress report. My name is Laura Bokor, and let me introduce you to some of the research work that I have been doing in the last 1.5 years. The title of my thesis is the Clinicopathological Evaluation of Cutaneous Lupus. I'm a medical doctor and a PhD student at the Department of Dermatology, Venerology, and Dermato-Oncology. My supervisors are Bernadett Hidvégi and András Bámvölgyi. Currently, I have 2 ongoing projects. They are both about cutaneous lupus, but we are using different methodologies. The first one is the investigation of the efficacy and safety of novel therapeutical options in cutaneous lupus, and we are doing a systematic review and meta-analysis. So first, I would like to share a few pieces of information about cutaneous lupus. Cutaneous lupus is an autoimmune skin disease. There are more than 300,000 new patients every year worldwide who suffer from inflamed, scaling, or scarring lesions, or they might have scarring alopecia. Due to these symptoms, they have a substantial decrease in their quality of life. The gold standard therapy for cutaneous lupus is topical or systemic glucocorticoids and antimalarials, but as you might already know, glucocorticoids might have serious side effects, and unfortunately, the response rate to antimalarials is approximately 50%. Recently, novel therapies have emerged, such as biologics like anifrolumab and small molecules like JAK inhibitors, but there's only limited evidence available on their use in cutaneous lupus. Therefore, our aim is to find the most effective and safest novel therapy for cutaneous lupus. According to our aim, our clinical question is similar. What is the safest and most effective novel treatment in cutaneous lupus? We use the PICO framework, where our population is patients with cutaneous lupus, where interventions are biologics and small molecules, and we compare them to placebo or no comparator at all. Our outcomes are efficacy, which is measured by the CLASI 50 score, and adverse events. The CLASI score is a specific score for cutaneous lupus, which evaluates the activity and the damage of the disease on a scale from 0 to 70. Our hypothesis is that anifrolumab is the most effective and safest novel therapy in the treatment of cutaneous lupus erythematosus. Here you can see the flowchart of my selection. I started with over 18,000 records before duplicate removal, and we ended up with 58 eligible full texts. Here are the outcomes that we investigated, but first I would like to introduce you to the structure of my meta-analysis, which consists of 2 parts. The first part is a network meta-analysis of the randomized control studies, and the second part is a traditional meta-analysis of observational studies. In both parts, we investigated the outcomes of the number of patients who have reached the CLASI 50 score after treatment, the odds ratio of any adverse events, and the odds ratio of serious adverse events. Here you can see the results of my network meta-analysis and my network meta-analysis plot presenting the direct comparisons between treatments in terms of efficacy and safety. So let me introduce you to my results. First, I would like to present you my results regarding the number of patients who have reached at least a 50% reduction in their CLASI activity score after treatment. On the net forest plot on the left-hand side, the upper part of the slide, all novel therapies in cutaneous lupus are compared to placebo, and you can observe a clear ranking between them. We can conclude that deucravacitinib was the most effective therapy of all. More than 8 times as many patients achieved at least a 50% reduction in their disease activity when treated with deucravacitinib compared to those receiving a placebo. Moreover, litifilimab and anifrolumab were also significantly more effective than placebo. On the upper right-hand side, you can see the p-score plot, where we show how confident we are in our ranking. And down below on the league table, I would like to highlight some of the indirect comparisons that we have made between these treatments. For example, deucravacitinib and litifilimab were significantly more effective than baricitinib or ustekinumab. On this slide, I would like to present you the safety profile of these novel therapies in cutaneous lupus. On the net first plot, all treatments are compared to placebo again, and you can observe that there were no significant difference between the therapies and placebo regarding the odds ratio of any adverse events. So we can conclude that these are safe treatments. And regarding the odds ratio of serious adverse events, there was only one significant difference, which was between baricitinib and placebo. So here I would like to conclude the strengths and limitations of my study. The strengths include that this is a comprehensive meta-analysis of novel therapies in cutaneous lupus, and this is the first one of it. It has a network meta-analysis component, and we work with high patient numbers. We also have limitations, which is, for example, the high heterogeneity of the CLASI outcome across the studies, and we could only make few direct comparisons. In conclusion, deucravacitinib is the most effective and well-tolerated treatment in cutaneous lupus. Our implication for practice would be the early use of deucravacitinib in clinical practice, and the suggestion to incorporate deucravacitinib in the newest guidelines for cutaneous lupus. Our implication for research is that the evaluation of efficacy of anifrolumab versus deucravacitinib is needed across various organ domains in systemic lupus. And the second one is that we need a unified efficacy measure in cutaneous lupus. Here is the current status of my manuscript. It has been published online on the 16th of December. It has been published to Autoimmunity Reviews, which is a D1 German in immunology. This is the progress of my first project, and here you can see the article published on PubMed. Jumping onto my second project, which is the epidemiological evaluation of patients with cutaneous lupus, and this is a retrospective cohort study. So the incidence of cutaneous lupus is 4 over 100,000. However, there's still few available data on the epidemiology of the specific subgroups of cutaneous lupus, so there are several open questions. For example, open questions about the difference in gender distribution, the prevalence of autoimmune or malignant comorbidities. There are clinical and laboratory differences across subgroups. The prevalence of systematization is usually different, and we don't really know a lot about the epidemiology of the rare subtypes. Unfortunately, there is only one previous register, which was published in 2013, and it includes data from 4 years and data of a bit over 1,000 cutaneous lupus patients. So therefore, our aim is to collect data from the last 10 years at the Department of Dermatology, Venerology, and Dermato-Oncology, which is among the biggest centers for autoimmune skin diseases in Hungary. And our aim is to analyze the prevalence of rare subtypes, the male-female ratio in different subtypes, comorbidities, smoking, prevalence of systematization, and, for example, the first, second, and third line treatment options. So all in all, our aim is to provide up-to-date epidemiological data of cutaneous lupus. In summary, I have these 2 ongoing projects, both in the topic of cutaneous lupus, but the first one is regarding its therapy, and the second one is about its epidemiology. I would like to thank you for your attention.